Mexico City and part of it outside. And I hope the film is well received.
¿Preguntas? Sí, por favor. Vamos a empezar con el youth. Arce, cadena 3.
Buenas tardes a todos, señor Oliver. Oliver Stone, you have said many times that you are in pro of marijuana legalization. So I wonder if you think this would solve some problems in narco traffic.
Yes, unfortunately, you're going to Spanish translation for me, and I didn't give you.
Do you hear it?
Oh, that's right, sorry. You were asking English. Okay, what did you say? Marijuana legalization?
Yeah, you have said many times that you are in pro of marijuana legalization. So I wonder if you think this would solve some narco traffic problems with this.
Yeah, now do I put the headset on? Or nice? Yes, because I'm going to.
Yes, you can answer.
I think you should ask your questions in Spanish unless it's much better than more rhythm. Yeah, listen, the movie is not about marijuana legalization. Let's make that very clear. And, you know, we can talk about politics all day long. I'm not ashamed. I've been talked about it yesterday and on television. Personally, I am for legalization, yes. And medical and tax state regulation of it, absolutely, because it keeps out a very criminal element. Prohibition never works. It never worked in America for alcohol for 12 years, and it will never work. And it's been almost 1971, 41 years of the drug war. It's a disaster. There's more drugs, better drugs, cheaper drugs. And that includes cocaine and heroin, and it includes, of course, marijuana, which is the same marijuana that they did in the 1960s. The best marijuana in the world right now is California. So the movie is based on the crazy idea, but it's a hypothetical idea, based on a book by Don Winslow, that one of the cartels, maybe one of the smaller, more pressured cartels, would want to cut in on the California business and would be willing to risk it because it's pretty dangerous. And you know what happens, you've seen the movie, but I want to emphasize that it's a hypothetical situation. The big cartels make much more money from mass distribution of cheaper marijuana all across the world, I mean all across the United States, and cocaine all over the world. And we know how sophisticated the cartels can be, and how rich. So that's a Mexican problem. It's a Mexican issue, but it's also an American created problem. But you have for me, it's a war for money. I don't call it a war on drugs. It's a war for money. And Americans get rich prosecuting and imprisoning people, and the Mexicans get rich from saying, "Aha, you can't catch us," and they're very good at it. So this goes on, and the prices get bigger. It's stupid cat and mouse game. And it's like the war. The war on drugs is like the war in Iraq, like the war in Afghanistan, like the war in Vietnam. It will never, never, never work, and stupid people keep doing it.
Gracias. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Les pido que sí las hagan en español, por favor, para que no tengamos este problema de que hay que traducir la lengua en inglés o en español. Entonces, ya hay una persona que nos está ayudando en la traducción. Así es que, ¿quién levantó la mano? 111. Circuito mixto, por favor.
Be careful your question.
Gracias, buenas tardes. La pregunta es para Oliver. Me gustaría saber del 95 que rodaste aquí en la Ciudad de México a la fecha, ¿qué te parece la ciudad? ¿Y qué tan cierto hay de que vienes con un operativo especial cuidándote de los cárteles de droga del
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I do have some very competent looking people. who I've seen in the hallways, they don't speak very much, and they look very, very strong. But frankly, I've had bodyguards everywhere in the world, kind of, so I don't know that I never felt like I was in danger here. I was on the streets last night, looking around. I would say for me, 1980s were more a prosperous period, I feel. The Mexican economy has been battered and badly managed since Ronald Reagan. And since the Ronald Reagan days, the economy is part of the reason for the escalation of the drug war. And it's a shame that you can't get better leadership. In 1988, I met with Cardenas here in Mexico City, and I was very impressed with the man. And I always thought he won the election of '88, and I don't know that Salinas was ever won that election. So, and I think your economy has gotten worse and worse since then. And I see it in the city, I feel it, but I don't know. I haven't been everywhere, so it's sad. Sad story.
Muchos actores, actrices quieren trabajar con Oliver Stone. Me gustaría que Sandra Echeverría, Diego Cataño, jóvenes talentos, nos dijeran qué fue lo que los motivó para aceptar la invitación de Oliver Stone para trabajar en Salvajes. Sandra.
Por supuesto que yo he sido fan de Oliver Stone desde hace muchos años, he visto su trabajo desde Platón y me parece uno de los directores más maravillosos que hay. Es un director que busca no solamente contar una historia, sino que siempre busca mandar un mensaje, dar un statement sobre lo que está sucediendo alrededor del mundo. En este caso creo que toma este tema del cártel del narcotráfico en el momento perfecto para sacar la película. ¿Se oye?
Está yendo.
Es un momento perfecto para sacarlo en México. Y bueno, es un director muy perfeccionista, que ve cosas que luego uno no ve. Es estricto, es duro, pero uno aprende mucho de trabajar y me siento súper afortunada de estar en un proyecto como este y con él, por supuesto.
Sí, tiene tipo de duro. ¿No les daba miedo, Diego?
Yo había visto los Doors y yo soy fanático de los Doors. Entonces, cuando me llamaron a hacer el casting, yo estaba muy emocionado, lo tomé como un casting más, ¿no? Porque hay que tomarlo así. Y finalmente 4 o 5 días antes de que empezaran a rodar, me llamaron, hicimos papeleo y me fui para allá. Y tengo que decir que la verdad fui muy bien recibido por todos allá. Oliver siempre me trató muy bien, creo que es una persona muy generosa, ¿no? Que sabe llevar a sus actores. Y yo que no hablaba mucho inglés y que no tenía tanta experiencia, me dio la confianza necesaria para poder interpretar mi personaje.
Gracias, Esteban. Y en el caso de los experimentados, Joaquín Cosío, Demián Bichir, ¿qué les hizo aceptar la invitación? Joaquín.
Obviamente la invitación de que la dirección es de Oliver Stone. También yo soy uno de he sido espectador de sus películas durante buen tiempo y participar con él, un hombre que es un crítico de la cultura norteamericana con una acidez y con un vigor poco visto, fue una noticia estupenda para mí, desde luego. Siempre he visto actores extraordinarios en sus elencos. Jamás pensé estar yo en una de sus películas, por lo tanto, haber sido invitado a participar en este breve papel ha sido una de las mejores experiencias, sin duda, en mi carrera.
Te dejo azul. Demián Bichir.
A mí me invitaron a una entrevista con Oliver meses antes de que tuviera siquiera un guión listo. Yo lo conocí en sus oficinas allá en Los Ángeles y ya iba yo feliz, solo con la idea de conocerlo y de sentarme a charlar con la leyenda. Y la verdad es que yo pensaba que si había alguna oportunidad para mí en la película iba a ser una celebración extra, pero yo estaba muy contento nada más de encontrarme con él. Y justo cuando esperaba ahí en su oficina vi todos los pósters de la mayoría de las películas que me han marcado en mi vida, no solo como actor y como espectador. Y me encontré con un Oliver muy cariñoso, como dice Diego, muy generoso, no solo en la charla que tuvimos esa tarde. Yo ya conocía la novela de Don Winslow y hablamos un buen rato sobre ella y ahí mismo me habló de Alex, de la posibilidad de hacer Alex. Después en el set todo lo que has escuchado de Oliver Stone es cierto, es completamente cierto y más. Y todas las anécdotas que escuchas por ahí del rigor que tiene como artista, únicamente puedes entender que el cine que ha hecho sea de ese nivel por el rigor que siempre impregna su trabajo, y así es como tiene que ser, así es como nosotros personalmente, Sandra, Diego, Joaquín, crecimos aprendiéndolo aquí en México y así es como lo hacemos. Mucha gente pensará que es rudo, nosotros pensamos que es preciso, que es, Joaquín decía eléctrico, es una palabra perfecta para describirlo, y sí es estricto, pero como buen padre también quiere mucho a sus hijos y corre los riesgos contigo, no te abandona o te lanza a la selva con el fusil a que te maten, ¿no? Cualquier cosa que te pide, él te acompaña en ello, y fue una experiencia formidable pertenecer ya a la parte de la historia de este hombre.
110. Sí, perdón, sí, por supuesto.
Can I say something about each one? First of all, Joaquin. Okay. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen his work, but somebody had to be Azul in this movie, because we hear about him, but we don't see him that much. He wasn't even in the novel. There was no scene in the novel. But we needed, in a movie, you can't talk about Azul and not show him. So I needed a man who could appear 2 times in the movie, 2 times, and for short periods. And I needed, as you can tell, a face. Movies are faces. When I saw this man's face in Alan Fierro, it's twice as big as my face. He occupied that space. I don't know that he knew what was going on. I don't know that his English was, well, he walked in and Hollywood movie, a lot of people, blah, 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 100 crew, but cool, and just did his job. And I can't recognize him with a beard, but I got it. He just told me last night, I met his lovely wife, just got married, and he's got a baby on the way. Congratulations. You came back to civilization with a beard.
El elegante azul, perdón.
Demian here, I'm saving her for last. Demian here came into the office, and I had found my 6 principles. And Benicio had said, man, Benicio del Toro said, if you could get Demian to do Alex, that'd be really cool. And when Benicio is an actor's actor, when he says that, he knows what he's talking about. So Demian was a treat. He was a dessert. He just joined on. He didn't care, days, schedule. He'd make it work. And this is what he works with directors, and I feel that this is a man who gets it. He gets what movies are about. Some of the actors will ask, what's my schedule? What do I get paid? He's just, I'll show up and I'll do it. And he's the most humble man. And on the set, a delight to work with him. So professional, smooth. I don't think all I can say, he loved screaming, and he could scream and scream for 2 days. It was driving me crazy. So we stuck a rag in his mouth to shut him up. That's where he got the idea. But every actor likes to be crucified. He found his role. I think he had many more great roles in his life. And this boy, we all say boy, he's probably 30 years old by now. This kid, Diego, he's a sweetheart, almost so sweet. you know, the scene, we had more scenes in the movie that were longer, but you know, time, and I knew we were in a crunch. I knew we were not going to make it. It's going to be a 3-hour movie. Something's going to go. So Benicio comes up to me in the movie, about 40%, 30%. He says, "Hey, Oliver, I think I should kill him off." Because in the original script, he goes to the end. And Benicio said, "I think I should just kill him off." I said, "What? You can't do that to this kid. He'll break his heart." He said, "Kill him." And Benicio has great instincts, and he was right. I would have carried him to the end of the movie, but I think he was far more effective to suddenly cut him off. And I told him, and I said, I'll put you in another movie, and I'll make it. And he said, "I'm fine, man." He's a sweetheart, and I think he's going to have a wonderful career. Now, Miss Anita here. Yeah, she's going to go far, this one. I was not tough with you. I said, "I loved you. You made me laugh every day." She comes on the set, look at that smile. She makes everybody laugh. After you deal with Salma all day long, and you get, sweet. She was the sweetest thing in the set. She made people happy. And the only thing is, I don't like the way she runs. But you gotta improve your track style. But I think she adapts. But she's disciplined. She's talking about discipline. Look at her. Look at that waistline. Look at the body. This woman doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. Doesn't do anything. She's got maybe one boyfriend all her life, or maybe 2. But I just want to say, I do think she is going to be president of Mexico one day.
Muy bien, le voy a dar la palabra a la 110, por favor. Sin en línea, dice. El micrófono.
Bienvenido a México. Bienvenido a México. Oliver, me gustaría saber y conocer cuál fue tu escena más complicada de hacer, y a todos los demás si tienen alguna anécdota que contar durante la filmación y su escena favorita.
Well, I told you just a couple right now, but you know, to take 6 of these crazy Salma, Blake, Aaron, Taylor, Benicio, and Sandra out into the desert of California in the summer of last year. 95, but the humidity, 95-degree humidity, no shade, because we had to shoot 360. And also the base camp is a long way away. It's at least a mile away. So, you know, you got to stay out there for long hours. And the girls all need their parasols. I told Sandra to go out of the car. But that was very hard. Anything with guns and artillery, the heist in the ravines was very complicated. The torture scenes with Demian and Benicio and the boys, very hard because of the pain. It's painful. It's painful to watch pain, but you cannot make a movie like this about the cartels and the brutality. I said yesterday, I think it's so much to do with the Iraq War. I think when Bush Jr. went to Iraq, he brought the world into another phase of violence and meanness and brutality, and all those methods showed up here in Mexico. Which is almost, Baghdad came to, the wars come home to roost. And that's funny that Taylor's group is from Afghanistan and Iraq. They're all ex-soldiers and they bring the techniques. And then you have Benicio smelling the IED and saying, Iraq. But at one point in 2006 or 7, I heard that the homicide rate was higher in Ciudad Juarez than it was in Baghdad. So there's the road to violence spirals upwards. We must be very careful.
Vamos a ver.
She's a great translator. Yeah, I heard you say a few things ahead of me, though. Sandra's like that.
Muy alto,
Sandra knows what I'm thinking.
Vamos a la 104, por favor.
Her father's here, Sandra's father's here. And Eduardo, take up your hand. She's got a, I thought it was her husband when I met him.
Aunque no está aquí, quisiera saber cómo fue. Me parece que hizo de Salma Hayek un personaje que nos encantó a todos. Estaba muy graciosa. Cómo lograron eso, que manejara el mal carácter, el buen humor, el personaje. Y para Joaquín Cosío, digo, sales pocas veces, pero interpretas al azul y el azul sí existe. De repente no te da un poco de frío que te vaya a contactar y que no le haya gustado lo que hiciste con él.
Yo primero. Ok. No, realmente no. Es un azul que no tiene mucho que ver con el original. El original está en primer lugar, pesa mucho menos que yo. Es un personaje un poco más delgado. No tengo miedo al respecto, ¿no? Es una ficción y el azul no creo que tenga mucho que ver con el otro. Entiendo que el azul original es un negociador, según he leído. No propiamente pertenece a una generación menos sanguinaria de los que actualmente ocupan las páginas de los medios.
Good answer. Salma Hayek, where do you start? You know, I first told the story. I met her in the late 90s. When she was a young actress, she'd come out of Mexico, and she told me later that she had drawn up a list of directors she wanted to work with. And she had no success. Everyone had turned her down, everyone. And she really got soured about Hollywood. She did it on her own a lot. She produced Frida, as you know. She was one of the producers. She's a fighter. When she met me at this party, I didn't know her, and she said, "You're a son of a bitch. You didn't even meet me. You didn't even see me for U-Turn, the Jennifer Lopez. You give it to Jennifer Lopez." I was taken aback. Actors don't generally come and jump on you right away. They're very rare. On the contrary, they're sometimes, they give you bullshit compliments. So, I remember that, and I didn't like her, but I remembered it. But I wanted Jennifer Lopez to return. I just did. Same thing here. The script, I wanted Salma Hayek. And I wrote her in Europe, and she was living in Paris, and I said, "Please be in my movie." And Universal said, Universal Pictures said, "Are you sure? Is she tough enough?" Because somehow they thought she was something else. I said, "Are you crazy? This woman gets what she wants. She knows what she wants." And she told everybody on the set, "I want a blue dress. I want it to be pinned this way. I'm not going to go on the set unless my dress is right." And she was tough, and sometimes we have to wait in the sun. But she had to get that dress right, or the wig. That fucking wig, that fucking wig was like, that was like the Royal Diamonds or something. And her costume jewelry, picked out by hand, everything, beautiful. That necklace, she came back one day and they disappeared. She went crazy. She had to have her necklace. So the moment that she gives this necklace to Sandra, at the end, very end, it means a lot. It's like she's a very, as you can see in the movie, she's a conservative Catholic housewife. She lives only, her husband and several of her children are dead, murdered. She lives as the head of the cartel only for her 2 children remaining. She says, "I am glad," she tells Blake Lively, "I am glad that my daughter is ashamed of me."
Y eso le da orgullo. Siento que dice el Universal, Jorge Mendoza.
Esta pregunta está dirigida al director Oliver Stone, por favor. Quisiera saber, señor director, usted tiene una simpatía hacia los gobiernos que gobierna la izquierda. ¿Nos podría hablar un poco de eso y si cree usted que la crítica que realizó un poco hacia el gobierno de nuestro país pueda servir en algo para contrarrestar este gran problema que vivimos? Gracias.
Are you kidding? the right to have feelings and expressions. I've taken that right, and when asked, I don't want to run away. But my impact is limited. The movie speaks for itself. You make a Vietnam movie, 3 of them, and America loves the movies, but they go off to Iraq and Afghanistan, so the impact is limited. You make a Salvador about Central American abuses. Nobody goes to see it in North America. So JFK, I had my fair share of attacks ever since. So I take things, you can either walk away and change your style, or you can say, I'm just going to keep doing what I think is right, and I'll take what comes. And your government, for me, and I've said it, is just, in 1988, you made you were ahead of the wave. People were demanding change. They asked for cardenas, but you guys went to the right, and you stayed on that path. And your economy, as a result, is way behind the rest of Latin America, which took another path. And I think that's sad that Mexico is in bed with the United States. It stays so close to the United States. Your Calderon is like Bush, he wants a war. So there's no hope for Mexico unless you change rapidly. I mean, like Latin America did, like Brazil, like Argentina, like Bolivia, like Venezuela, like Nicaragua, like Honduras before the coup, like Paraguay, all these countries. These are the models for change for Mexico.
Gracias. Proceso, columna vértiz, 109.
Para el director Oliver Stone, va un poco relacionada con la que hizo mi compañero Universal. ¿Usted se considera de izquierda y por qué? ¿Y cómo ve la izquierda en el mundo? Me gusta mucho su opinión. Y la otra es para los actores. ¿Cómo ven reflejado esta violencia tan inhumana que en la película que pues es bastante real en México? Ayer precisamente aparecieron descabezados, ha aparecido un salvajismo desde que les quitan las manos a los cuerpos, los pies, en fin, ¿qué opinan de esta violencia que hace que los actores están entrando en mal?
I would like, let Demian have the first crack at that.
Pues, ¿qué opino de esa violencia respecto a la que nosotros también mostramos en la película? Mira, yo siempre he pensado que lo ideal sería que la violencia exista únicamente en la ficción. Ojalá nosotros estuviéramos relatando en esta película cosas que pasaron el siglo pasado y que son parte de un anecdotario terrible, ¿no? Pero estando tan presente, el cine se convierte en una especie de cronista de tus propios tiempos, ¿no? De tu tiempo, el tiempo que estás viviendo. Y si Hollywood está haciendo estas historias, si Tom Winslow la escribe, es que nosotros le hemos dado material para que lo hagan. Ojalá todo esto sea en serio parte del pasado, ¿no? Ahora mismo estamos en este conflicto postelectoral. Hasta hoy en la mañana parece que ya incluso el PAN dijo, no, pues sí, sí es cierto, hay que impugnar, cuando hace una semana todo el mundo celebraba, ¿no? Y eso es un reflejo muy claro de cómo funcionan las cosas aquí, ¿no? Yo creo que incluso a quien sea que vaya a quedar como gobernante le conviene que se aclare hasta la última duda, precisamente para que el país pueda seguir su camino. Yo creo que esta película llega muy a tiempo porque el cine también sirve para refrescarte la memoria, ¿no? Colosio está fuera en las salas todavía. Hay una generación completa de chavos, nuevos votantes que no saben qué pasó hace 18 o 20 años. Por eso está esa película ahí, para recordárselos, ¿no? Para hacerlo más y ojalá esta película pase a ser parte de ese anecdotario terrible, ¿no? Y no lo hace solamente Hollywood, también está El Infierno, y también está Misbala, y también porque seguimos contando ese tipo de historias. Hay muchas otras y está lleno de eso también, hay muchas otras películas. Esta particularmente se trata de eso, y es, antes que otra cosa, no es un reflejo de la realidad de México, sino de alguna manera te habla de que este problema es de dos países. Es tiempo de parar ya de culpar solamente a México, las corruptelas existen entre los dos lados, y antes que otra cosa es una obra de arte, es una pieza artística que te puede gustar o no, pero es una pieza artística por uno de los artistas más connotados de este siglo, ¿no? Del siglo pasado y de este. Y como tal es una película hermosa, yo así la veo, yo pienso que es como una poesía tremendamente dura.
Joaquín, ¿no sé?
En inglés o en español. Me parece importante la película me parece urgente y necesaria, y sobre todo porque es un retrato no solamente de una violencia literal, sino de una violencia que proviene de otros niveles, que son los niveles de las instituciones en ambos países, y esa es una violencia que encarna y que se manifiesta a través de los fusiles y de la sangre. Me parece muy importante que la película plantee la corrupción en esos niveles, porque la guerra que vive México tiene responsables, y si en algún momento los cárteles pueden ser quienes ejecutan y quienes disparan las armas, hay también instituciones, y hay un presidente de la República que ha decidido o que decidió confrontar la violencia con violencia, en una de las decisiones más brutales de las cuales yo he sido testigo en mi país. La violencia tiene responsables y me parece importante que la película lo registre.
I want to point out that Joaquin's character in the movie says the line, 1 year ago when we shot it, he said, Elena is dead, the PRI is in, the PAN is out. It's indicating there was connections, that certain things between the cartels and politics exist. And I heard that constantly in my travels in Mexico. Yeah. I answered your question, I thought, before, and I don't want to it's not about politics. I am a dramatist, I make movies. And the violence that is horrible in Mexico, we can't even get close to it in the movie. We can suggest it. We couldn't show what really happens because it would disgust audiences, it would be too much. You can't do that in movies. I'll refer to you to what I said earlier. The Iraq War had something to do, I believe, with the new violence in Mexico. And that unleashed, it gave license to the world to become more brutal. And it's the result of violence breeds violence. Violence creates only greater violence, until people get so exhausted or dead that they just throw up their arms. And it's the end of World War I. World War I is exactly like this situation. It ended when everybody got sick and tired of the killing. But it was 4 years later. They thought it would be a short war. It was the most, except for World War II, it was the most fatal war in the history of the world.
Y estamos a punto de terminar la última pregunta, 121, Irma Gallo, sin embargo.
Buenos días, esta pregunta es para Oliver Stone también. Se han escrito muchas novelas, muy buenas novelas, con el tema de la guerra por el narcotráfico, de la violencia que ha generado. La novela de Don Winslow es una excelente novela también, pero ¿por qué escoger esta novela y cómo fue el trabajo del guión con Don Winslow? Gracias.
I thought it was a cracking, good thriller. You know, it read fast. Don had written a wonderful novel about Mexico called The Power of the Dog, which goes into the history of the cartels back to Gallardo, the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and it tracks it all. It's a powerful book, but it should exist as a television series if you do it that way. So this Salvajes was a contained story with 6 people. And I've never done a movie about Southern California in that celebrating beaches, surf life, those type of people who live on the beach like Blake Lively and Aaron and Taylor. And I always wanted to do a bit of Sergio Leone, a Western, a contemporary Western and Mexican noir.